Sadhu. Namo Buddhaya. Dear Dhamma friends, we have come to the second episode of today's Dhamma learning and Q&A program. Now we are hoping to teach you about bondages from Kosala Sangyutta, from the Sangyutta Nikaya, from the book of Connected Discourses. So, before we go for the sermon, let's pay homage to the Buddha 3 times and then learn the sutta. Say together with me. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the Supremely Enlightened One. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Dear Dhamma friends, we are back in this program to learn about bondages. So, once when Kosala, Pasenadi Kosala, he has punished some people. So, what happened? On one occasion, a great mass of people had been put in bondage by King Pasenadi of Kosala. Some with ropes, some with clogs, some with chains. So that means, now I don't know whether you have seen this kind of sceneries. Sometimes when people get caught to police, they, if there are 6 or 10 prisoners, maybe people who have committed a crime, they take a chain and they put those chains, or what do you call them, clogs, to all those 6 people in a group, to a chain. They link all the chains, all the clogs are linked to each and every thief. So if one runs, others also have to run. So no one can escape. So when the monks were going for the alms round in the morning, when the monks were going collecting food to get food from the disciples, from lay people, monks saw this incident where a lot of people, prisoners, who were tied by ropes in groups, about 10-15 people tied to one rope. So when this was seen by the monks thought that this is a great bondage. This is a huge bondage. This should be said to the Blessed One. We should inform this to the Blessed One. Then in the morning, a number of bhikkhus dressed and went for alms round. Then they saw this. And then the monks returned to the monastery and said to the Blessed One, Blessed One, Venerable Sir, a great mass of people have been put in bondage by King Pasenadi Kosala. Some with ropes, some with clogs, some with chains. All are tied to one another. Then the Blessed One, having understood the meaning of this on that occasion, recited these verses. Now if it was you would say, is that so? Oh, poor thing. or someone would say, good that happened to these people, one who does evil deeds. But Buddha did not come up with such ideas. What Buddha said was that bondage, this kind of bond, the wise say, is not strong. Imagine if a thief or a bad person who has committed a crime and who has got caught by the police, if they are being tied by a rope or bonded by a clog, that is not a strong bondage. Buddha preaches, made of iron, wood or rope, if someone is bonded, or if someone is cornered, or if someone is controlled like that, being tied by a rope or being tied to a, maybe being tied to a pole sometimes, that is not a big bondage. But Buddha preaches, if someone is infatuated with jewelry and earrings, anxious concern for wives and children, if someone is bonded for wives and children, if someone is bonded for jewelry and earrings and other belongings, this, the wise say, is a strong bond. Then degrading, supple, hard to escape. So, dear Dhamma friends, we should understand that the bondages that we have towards our wealth, our properties, and our valuables, towards children, towards wives, towards husbands, towards relatives, all these things are strong bondages. That bondage, those bonds who were suffering, the prisoners that were suffering, is not a big bondage. But the bondages that we have towards material things is a greater bondage. So Buddha preaches, but even this they cut and wander forth. That means the great arahants, the great disciples who went for refuge to the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, they cut these bondages easily. Unconcerned, having abandoned sensual pleasures. Unconcerned, having abandoned sensual pleasures, they cut off and wander forth. Who are they? The disciples of the Supreme Buddhas. How can they break these bondages? Now for a prisoner who is being bonded by a clog or by a rope, who's tightened by a rope, he has to break the rope. Now to break that rope, he need to come up with his bodily effort, with his strength. But then here, how can break a bondage that has towards a husband, that has towards a wife, that has towards children, the bondages that they have towards wealth and to their belongings? How can we overcome that bondage? Okay, before I go to that, why do we have to break that bondage towards the children, wives, and these belongings? The reason is, Buddha preaches, not me, Buddha preaches that when we are bonded to these things, when these things changes, when things get altered, when things are changing while existing, and when things disappear, we can't bear it. Then we cry, we weep, we get angry. Then sometimes people perform evil deeds when they lose their belongings. They perform evil deeds from body, speech, and mind. They harm others even. So remember, when we are attached to something, when that changes, that gives suffering in return. So that's why these bondages should be broken, should be totally abandoned. By the power of what? By the power of understanding the real nature of these material things. So one way is to overcome these bondages. We can understand that these things are temporary, there's a rising, it changes while it exists, and it fades away. Those are the three characteristics of a impermanent object. So, dear Dharma friends, so to break these bondages, then there's another way. We can think the gratification, danger, and escape. In anything that you see, you can consider the gratification of it, and then you can consider the danger of it, and also you can consider the escape. And also you can see things as really there. That will help you to overcome bondages. Then you can think that things are not under your control. Then you can overcome bondages. So for an example, our body, it has a disgusting nature. There are 32 impurities. When you consider that, you will be able to overcome the bondages. And also, when you are bonded to something, when you are attached to something, we struggle and we fight, we quarrel. Then we accumulate karma, a bad karma. So that bad karma will lead you to bad destinations. That bad karma that bad karma will decide where you will be born in, where you will be born in next life. That bad karma will decide your next birth. That bad karma will decide your next parents. That bad karma will decide whom your wife is. That bad karma will decide the appearance of your body. That bad karma will decide your wealth. That bad karma will decide your beauty. That bad karma will decide your fame. That bad karma will decide whom you will associate. That bad karma will decide whether you will come to the human world or not in next life. That bad karma will decide whether you will end up in the animal world for many lives. That bad karma will decide whether you will go to the hell and end up there for a long period and again be born in the hell again and again. Buddha preached, the ones who are born among hell beings, once a person is born in the hell, the tendency or the ability to come back to the human world is like taking some soil to the fingernail. Buddha preached to the monks saying that, dear bhikkhus, can you see this amount of soil on the fingernail? Then the monk said, yes. Then the Buddha preached, dear bhikkhus, beings like the beings compared to the soil on the fingernail among the hell beings will come to the human world. But beings in the hell, like the entire earth, will be again born in the hell. So a bad karma can decide you to be born in hell, and then that birth in hell will lead you to perform again evil actions from body, speech and mind. Remember, in hell you are punished. Animals kill each other. Animals eat each other. No mercy, no loving kindness, no generosity, no observing 5 precepts, no observing 8 precepts, no observing 10 precepts, no monk life, no wise thinking. In a world like that, how can they do wholesome deeds? In a world like that, what they have is unwholesome deeds. Why do we need to be born in such a place by accumulating a bad karma? So this bad karma will lead us to a bad destination. So when you are aware of karma, that will help you to overcome bondages. Then by knowing that we are going in an endless journey of samsara, Buddha preached in Anamatagga Samyutta. Now in this Samyutta Nikaya book, there is another section called Anamatagga Samyutta. There Buddha preaches the nature of the samsara. There the Buddha preaches the nature of the samsara. So in Anamatagga Samyutta we can learn the nature of the samsara. So there Buddha preaches we have cried more than the 4 great oceans in our past lives. When our mother passed away, when our father passed away, we have cried more than the 4 great oceans. Just go to a beach and see the amount of water. Now in this life, how much we would have cried? At least to amount of a water bottle? No. Then imagine this journey of samsara. So when you learn that this bad karma, this of these bondages will lead us to samsara, to go in this samsara, then you will be able to overcome bondages towards these unnecessary things that you get for one life. Just getting bonded, just developing craving and attachment towards just for things that you get for one life, by dedicating your entire life for things that you get for one life, we ruin our entire samsara. Why we become so unwise? Just because of one thing, not knowing the Buddha's teachings, which is the reality of life. There is something called samsara. There are bondages, that's why we suffer. There is something called karma, that is something exists. Things are impermanent, things are not under our control. Now these things are true, though these things exist in the world. The danger and the mistake or the faults that we have is we don't realize these things on our own without a guidance of a teacher. But a Buddha realizes these things without a guidance of a teacher. And he preaches this out of compassion for us to practice this. This is not just a personal teaching that Buddha does. This is his true realization about the world, true realization about life. So why not we embrace this true realization and practice this? Because this knowledge will help you to calm and control your body, speech and mind, which we have been talking again and again, preaching again and again. Remember, these bondages are very dangerous. Once there was one person, when he heard that his properties were, his belongings, a building of 5 stories, were taken over by someone else, by the government. Then in the morning when he saw the board saying that the government has taken over that building, he got a heart attack, he got a stroke and died. Why? His blood circulation system was affected just by seeing something. What has blood got to do with what has the circulation of blood, the pressure of blood got to do with something that he has seen? It was not just something that he saw, it was his wrong thinking. It was his wrong thinking led him to a disaster. Now what he had, a bondage towards the building, and that led him to lose his life. Why do we need to have such bondages, dear Dhamma friends? If we are addicted to these things nowadays, like to a smartphone or maybe to this digital or social media, those bondages are also leading us to samsara, remember. It's not easy. Why do we need to go in samsara? In one life as a human being, in another life as an animal, in another life as a demon. Why we need to go in this enormous, endless samsara? Even this life is unstable. For a couple of years we have a good income. Then for next years, then for some time we are going through a bad time. Then for some time the good family life. Then after some time, all lost. Then in the morning, good mood. In the afternoon, bad mood. Then in the evening, totally given up happiness, drunken in the evening. Is this the purpose we came to the human world? Are we going to do the same thing in this life also? Are we going to do the same odd things that we did in the past life? Are we going to do the same things that we did in the past lives and go in this samsara? Remember, most of the time in this samsara, we were doing unwholesome deeds, not wholesome deeds. If we have dedicated our lives to do wholesome deeds, we wouldn't come in this long journey of samsara so long. At least now see in Jataka stories, whoever did bad deeds, whoever had bad habits, those bad habits again came up in future births as a practice. Now if our habits are to get angry with our own mother and father who gave life to us, remember, that's where we start ruining our life. First of all, getting angry with our mother and father who gave life to us. then with the school teachers, then with the husband and wives, among the husband and wives, then with the children, then with the people at the working place, then with the government, then with the relatives, then with neighbors, will die as an ungrateful person. So when we have this realization of the truth, when we are aware of the true teachings of the Buddha, when we are aware of the true nature of the world, we will be able to overcome bondages. Because what we know is about from birth to death. All our plans, all our hopes, all our actions, all our ideas, all our solutions are only taken and decided and performed by thinking and pondering, and also by thinking and being concerned about this life. So as long as a person is only concerned about this life and only about his personal gains, he will not be able to overcome bondages. That's why, dear Dhamma friends, the Buddha was appeared in this world for the benefit of many beings, for the welfare of many beings. Bahujana hitaya, attaya sukaya, deva manussaya. For the benefit of many beings, for the benefit of gods and humans. Buddha went by foot to preach this wonderful Dhamma for many years. Remember, in his last life, he gave pain for 6 years. There was occasions he gave up breathing when he was testing himself for 6 years to become a Buddha by giving pain to his body. He tried various ways when he was not aware of the Noble Eightfold Path. He tried many ways to realize the Four Noble Truths. One I remember in Arya Pariyesana Sutta, there Buddha preaches the difficult ascetic practices he did. On one occasion, he gave up breathing. Then when he stopped breathing, what happened? He realized that the body started breathing from the mouth. Then he closed his mouth. Then the body started breathing from the ears, through the ears. Then with his strong determination, he closed his ears. Then he felt a painful feeling, just as two people are wrapping a huge rope on the head and pulling from either side. But Buddha preaches in that sutta, dear bhikkhus, even I felt such a difficult pain, even though I experienced such a difficult pain, I never gave up the determination of not breathing. He kept on maintaining that. Even though he couldn't realize the Four Noble Truths, he didn't give up that meditation. That is just one ascetic practice, I'm telling you. When you say Buddhaṃ Saraṇaṃ Gacchāmi, remember these things. When you say Dhammaṃ Saraṇaṃ Gacchāmi, remember these things. When you say Saṅghāṃ Saraṇaṃ Gacchāmi, remember these things. These Arahants, they went for refuge to the Buddha. They became Arahants by developing a confident mind towards the Buddha. Not just by simply wearing robes. They dedicated their lives to the Buddha. Even for a lay disciple today, for them to realize the Four Noble Truths, they should develop an enormous confidence towards the Buddha, towards the Dhamma, towards the Sangha. To do that, we need to have a store of weapons, like a store of Dhamma like this. That's why we conduct these programs. So remember, dear Dhamma friends, you can ask questions. Ask questions, clarify your doubts, listen to Dhamma. Even Buddha asked questions in past lives. That's the secret to increase wisdom. The secret to increase wisdom is asking questions. Buddha preaches that. I think in Chula Kama Vibhanga Sutta, Buddha preaches that for a person to become wise, he needs to inquire what is good, what is bad, what is good, what is bad, what is good, what is bad, what is wholesome, what is unwholesome. So see, in this sutta about bondages, Buddha clearly preaches that a bondage that a thief has to a being tightened by a rope, or being cornered by a huge rope, or being bonded by iron, that is not a strong bondage. But if someone is bonded to the jewelries, properties, wealth, titles, and for the children and for husbands, wives, those bondages are greater bondages that will lead to go in samsara. Now we have a chance to overcome this bondage. Also should be one thing should remain in your life. What's that? Loving kindness. If not, from tomorrow onwards, you will give up taking care of the mother and father. You will give up preparing food to the husband. You will give up taking care of children. You will give up working and think, okay, this is overcoming bondages. No, this is to be done mentally. The ones who become monks, the ones who have a strong determination to overcome bondages to a great extent, yeah, they have to give up these things physically as well. But even after becoming monks, again they meet monks. They will have dhayakas, they will have monasteries, they will have robes, they will eat food. Even the bondages towards those things should be overcome. How to overcome? The same way. Now when you wear robes, we should think wisely. Why I'm using these robes? Why I'm wearing this robe? What's the purpose of wearing robes? So he should wisely think the reason wearing robes. To overcome cold, to overcome heat, to overcome from the disturbance that could come from mosquitoes, flies, to cover the shy places in the body. That's why you wear a cloth. Then the reason you take food. So, dear Dharma friends, today in the second episode, we learn how to overcome bondages and what bondages are and for what we get bonded. So, the bondages those thieves experience is not a big bondage. The thieves who were trapped by chains, who gave limited access to, who were given limited access to walk, who were given limited chance to walk, who were given limited chance to walk freely, is not a big bondage. But having bondages towards these material things is a greater bondage. By understanding that, and by understanding the way to overcome the bondages, may you be able to overcome bondages forever in life in this Gautama Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.